Let us welcome the fifth speaker of the contest, Mr. Yuya Kubota. His speech title is Security Neko-kun. Security Neko-kun. So, Mr. Kubota, would you come up to the stage?
A little bit more here. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. and Ms. Contest Chair, distinguished judges, my fellow friends. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. First, before we get to the main topic, let me introduce our special guest. This stuffed cat is the one that my wife Maria gave me as a Christmas gift 10 years ago, and I named him Neko-kun. And for the past 10 years, I've loved him so much. And every night on a queen-size bed, my wife and I and Neko-kun sleep together. When I'm feeling down, he comforts me with his fluffy paw. And when I'm happy, I feel like he's smiling with me. When my wife is out and I'm home alone, although I'm not fighting burglars like Kevin in Home Alone, we enjoy a nightcap together. We even go on trips together. Of course, my wife is my best partner, but Neko-kun is my best pal. Okay, I've spent a minute talking about how much I love Neko-kun, and what do you think? If you find my talk heartwarming, that's great. But maybe some people here are thinking, oh, that 32-year-old man is really into a stuffed toy. So weird. In psychology, yes, the term security blanket is well known, and there are related phrases like imaginary friend and personified object, and these are sometimes regarded in a negative way as expressions of dependency, addiction, or immaturity. But what's wrong with it? As human beings, we all have emotions. As we grow older, we all have more challenges, more struggles, and more responsibilities. So isn't it completely natural for us to seek comfort through being in touch with things we like, to want to overcome our feelings of insecurity and feel relaxed? In that sense, Neko-kun is my security blanket, my security Neko-kun. Of course, there are some who suffer from serious disorders, such as dissociative disorder, where medical treatment will become necessary. But if you have someone who will always accept you, even if it's just inside your mind, it could even save your life as a safety net. Facing my weaknesses when talking to Neko-kun, I asked myself, am I being truly supportive of other people in the real world, just like Neko-kun is with me? As a result, I began to ask my junior colleagues whether there's anything they're struggling with. And when they reach out for advice, I listen to them and share my thoughts. They say, oh, thank you for your great advice. But they don't seem to be fully convinced. Lying in bed, with Neko-kun by my side, I wondered why I was able to open myself up to Neko-kun. I felt that Neko-kun was such an amusing guy. He lives just the way he is. And for me, talking with Neko-kun was similar to a process of Zen questions, Zen mondo, and inner dialogue. What I realized is that when my junior colleagues talk to me, I'm their senior, so I always want to be seen as right, to be seen as great, and to give appropriate advice to them. One day, one of my junior colleagues came to me and said, I always worry about every single word my boss says to me. I have no idea how I can keep going with my job. First, I started with some appropriate advice, the usual stuff. But halfway through, I hit upon a much better idea. Hey, let's go out for a drink, I suggested. You know what? I also used to worry about my boss's temper. I drank a lot after getting scolded, and when I woke up, I found I'd already traveled all the way around the Yamanote line 3 times. But later then I felt more like, why should I care so much about him? I was finally able to change my mindset regarding him. I have to admit that I felt uncomfortable revealing my own weakness. But then I remembered my security, Neko-kun. He made me listen to my junior colleague more empathetically, sharing my own experiences, even my failures, and when I did that, the feeling between us became closer. He said, "It's surprising to hear that Kubota-san made such a mistake." And to tell you the truth, that night, I ended up oversleeping on the train once again. No matter whether it's at the office or in school or wherever we are, when we interact with other people, we often feel like we are being evaluated by them. That makes us feel we need to be right, we need to be strong. But ironically, what really adds value to a person is his or her imperfections. Just like me, everyone has their own worries and weaknesses inside. I'm sure my junior was relieved to realize that even his seniors make mistakes. Indeed, psychologist Dr. Deborah Mashik pointed out in her study in 2021 that appropriate self-disclosure creates closeness and trust. None of us is born perfect. And what this security Neko-kun reminds us of the importance of accepting weaknesses in yourself and others. And furthermore, sharing those worries and turning them into a source of connection. Nowadays, in this online world, where face-to-face personal connections are becoming weaker and weaker, perhaps we need someone to accept the worries and weaknesses inside that we find it difficult to handle on our own. Ladies and gentlemen, of course it's great if you could be of help to others. But at the same time, I hope those other people will also be your help when necessary, as well as you trying to help yourself in such cases. We are all unique and weak. Let's accept our own weaknesses, and by doing so, we could be strong enough to share them. And the very first step for you is to try to find your own security Neko-kun. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kubota. Now we'll have a question and answer session. Mr. Iboshi, please.
Okay, good afternoon, Kubota-san.
Hi, Ebo-san.
Very nice to see you again. And also hello to your security, Neko-kun.
Hi.
Okay, how do you feel right now?
I feel very confident. I feel very happy to be back on this stage. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Okay, so my first question. What advice would you give to someone who feels embarrassed about relying on a security blanket?
So you feel like you're not really into kind of stuffed toy?
Exactly.
Okay, then my answer would be, my best preference would be the stuffed toy, but it could be anything else. So let me answer to this question by using two supporting materials. Number one is about the nuigurumi therapy. This method is actually carried out by Kazutaka Iba. He's a psychologist, and he made a nuigurumi therapy. So that's why I recommend the stuffed toy. And by doing so, of course, if you give him a hug, you will feel like oxytocin would be produced, and you will feel relaxed. And furthermore, when you talk to Neko-kun, or when you talk to your security stuffed toy, you're actually talking to him, but actually it's the process of like Zen questions, inner dialogue. You're actually talking to yourself, and the organizer says that it's going to be helpful in terms of organizing your mindsets. And the second one is about it could be okay by anything else. For example, if you're feeling like not really into stuffed toy, then find about your cats and dogs. It's okay about your families and friends, and even more, it's okay with flowers. It's okay, as far as you could feel relaxed. And and there are some supporting materials, And actually, according to Dr. Kristen Neff, she's an associate professor of Texas University. She's a psychologist, and says that having a feeling of supporting team would be effective in decreasing depression and even more preventing suicide.
All right, so what about confessing worries to generative artificial intelligence? Because many people are input prompt about their worries and ChatGPT or other generative AI responds to them. So what about this trend?
That's absolutely okay, as far as you could be relaxed. So I'm just echoing what I've already answered. So it's okay with flowers, it's okay with AI. And let me talk about the concept here about my speech. I intentionally didn't mention this phrase in my speech, but it is about vulnerability. I want you to, it's about the fragileness or weakness in the direct meaning, but in the field of psychology, it's very interesting, but it means the strength of being able to show off your accepting and showing off your own weakness.
All right, hopefully the last question. Do you think sharing personal failures can strengthen relationships in the workplace? Why or why not?
Yes, I do think so. And also, I would like to use some studies to support my opinion. Actually, I said about the Dr. Deborah Mashik's studies. She's a psychologist, and it's very interesting that even in workplace or even in anywhere else, disclosure really matters. And there are two patterns of disclosures. One is about the factual disclosure, and it really works. And the second one is about emotional disclosure, and it works much more. For example, like if I say about the factual disclosure, oh, my computer was broken. This is a fact. And you would say, oh, that's too bad. But the emotional part, when you say things like that, and the paper I've done last night is all gone. And you feel like, oh dear, that's too bad. You feel more empathy in this kind of thing. So even in workplace or even in households, in schools, anywhere is fine. Use this kind of factual disclosure and, if possible, emotional disclosure at the same time.
All right, time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Eboshi and Mr. Kubota. Please go back to your seat.
Oh, and don't forget, thank you, Mr. Neko-kun. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Now we'll have a judging time.